I'm just a broke college guy. Yet somehow, I ended up being Sophie's man on the side. Everyone envies me, but none of them really know the truth. My relationship with Sophie is painfully simple. Hotel room 2101. When she called, I came. When she needed me, I showed up. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Tonight, after another intense session, she suddenly turned to me and asked, "Do you know Justin?" Huh? Yeah, he's my classmate. Why? Push his contact to me. She said it so casually, holding a thin lady's cigarette between her fingers, her tone completely flat. I want to chase him. I stared at her, stunned. You want to chase him? Why not? She said. I couldn't stop myself. What about me? I blurted out. Sophie just smiled. It wasn't soft or kind, it had layers. A kind of wicked beauty. But her eyes? They were cold. Frank, don't be stupid, she said, like she was talking to a child. You didn't really think I'd catch feelings for you over time, did you? That snapped me back to reality. Yeah, being with Sophie. This was never about love. I was here to make up for the past, not to date her. She'd never fall for me, not in this lifetime. So I nodded. Sure, I'll send it to you now. Want me to set up a dinner for you two? The second I said that, Sophie's expression changed. She didn't look pleased, her face went even colder, and without a word more, she threw me out. Literally tossed my clothes after me too, but I was used to her moods by now. So I just picked my jacket up off the floor, put it on, and headed out. As I was leaving the villa, I bumped into a guy at the gate. Tall, handsome, expensively dressed, but he was being blocked by security. I need to see Sophie. Sophie, it's me. I squinted. He looked vaguely familiar. A minor actor, maybe? I remembered now. Sophie had smiled at him a couple of times during dinner once, said some sweet things. He'd fallen hard for her. Too bad she never gave him another look after that night. He turned to me, recognizing me. You again? He scoffed. You're just some broke college kid, and yet you're still clinging to Sophie like a damn leech. I didn't even get mad. Just smirked. Sophie's got some serious stamina and skills, I said. You haven't had a taste of that yet, have you? Then I walked off. Behind me, I heard him yelling, frustrated and humiliated. I got where he was coming from, though. Sophie was like a siren. The way she tilted her head, curved her lips. She could enchant anyone. But that's all. She was a heartless minx. Or maybe not. Maybe she did have a heart once, and I was the one who crushed it. Sophie and I had known each other since middle school, but we were never friends. I was the top student, the teacher's favorite. Sophie was the opposite. She fought, skipped class, smoked. But man, her face. It was almost unfair how attractive she was. Because of that, she became a local legend in our little southern town. She and I, we were parallel lines, never meant to cross until junior year. That year, my mom, my only family, was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. Every bit of our savings went toward treatment. And still, it wasn't enough. Mom's health was going downhill fast. Then on Christmas Eve, she suddenly said she was craving chocolate cake. Something so small, but it felt so big. I walked to a nearby convenience store and just stood there, staring at the cake. I couldn't afford it. I was already behind on my textbook payments. I didn't even know if I'd have lunch money tomorrow, but this was my mom's wish. So I made a choice. A stupid, terrible choice. I decided to steal it. A tea first. It went smoothly. I tucked the cake under my arm and made for the exit, nerves rattling. Then Frank, that voice, so gentle, it made my skin crawl. I froze. I couldn't turn around. I was stealing, but she walked up anyway. Sophie, with a shopping bag in hand. It is you, she said. Thought I had the wrong guy when you didn't answer. My hands were slick with sweat. I tried to brush her off. Do I know you? She hesitated. I'm Sophie. You here to buy stuff? She asked. Just browsing. There's something I want to give you, she said, pulling out a letter. It was pink. I took it without thinking and shoved it in my pocket. Then, just as I reached the exit, the security alarm screamed. Hey, someone yelled. We're short a cake. Everyone turned. You too. You're together, right? Cake thieves. Sophie snapped back, hot-tempered as always. Shut up. Who'd want your stupid cake? I felt the box in my coat nearly crush from how tightly I was gripping it. If they caught me, no allowance next month. And I needed that. Mom needed that. I still owed the school for books, class FE's hell. I couldn't even afford proper food. I had nothing. I was nothing. 16, and crushed by a mountain of debt and despair. So I made the worst decision of my life. During the chaos, I slipped the cake into Sophie's bag. The manager came to check us, opened her bag, and there it was, the cake. Sophie's eyes went wide. I didn't steal it. Ask him, Frank. You were right there. You saw me pay. The manager turned to me. Son, speak up. Don't be scared. I looked at Sophie. Her expression, that confusion, that betrayal, my heart dropped. Still, I nodded. It was her. The look she gave me, I'll never forget it. She didn't say a word. Not as they held her back. Not as I walked out. But her eyes followed me all the way, cold, sharp. I ran. It felt like I was escaping. Back at the hospital, I shook the whole night. Overcome with guilt, I should have gone to the police. Explained everything. Sophie wasn't the thief. I was, but I didn't. And that same night, my mom died without ever tasting that cake she wanted so badly. After the funeral, I tried to fix things. First thing I did was go to Sophie's class. You looking for her? Someone said, she's gone. Gone. She got caught stealing. Her dad almost beat her to death. Got expelled too. No way. Yeah, seriously. Heard she moved cities. Probably never coming back. I tried to explain at the police station. They didn't believe me. She confessed, the officer said. Took full responsibility. One of them laughed. Young love, huh? You guys doing some Romeo and Juliet cosplay? She's not my girlfriend, I mumbled. Well, better that way, the officer said. She's already stealing before she's legal. Bad character. I stumbled home, feeling more hollow than ever. When I got there, I reached into my pocket and out fell the letter Sophie had given me. A love letter. A love letter from Sophie to me. Years passed. Sophie climbed the ranks. After getting expelled, no school would take her in, but she fought her way up from the bottom. Now, she's a star. Reporters ask about her past. She doesn't flinch. I didn't graduate high school, she says casually. 6 months ago, we ran into each other again. She was smoking, smiling like nothing had ever happened. In grad school now, she teased. No surprise. You were always the good student. That one line burned me like fire. A week later, I arranged a dinner. Introduced Justin to her. He's the school's golden boy, smart, confident, good-looking. He spent 2 hours getting ready, and the moment he walked into that private dining room, well, who knows what Sophie saw in him? But I know what I saw. I saw a past I'll never fix. And a girl I lost long, long ago. You could see Sophie's eyes narrow. What's your major? She asked. Finance. No wonder. You've got that elite vibe. Justin gave a shy smile. I'd only ever heard of Sophie on the news before. Couldn't believe we're the same age and she's already so successful. Hearing that, Sophie gave a faint smile and even pulled out a chair for him herself. I just started working earlier than you all. They chatted easily, relaxed, and clearly enjoying themselves. I sat in the furthest corner away from Sophie. Not once did her gaze fall on me again. She had some of her girlfriends there too, chatting and laughing. Then, out of nowhere, someone said, "Hey, don't you think Justin and Frank look kind of alike?" As soon as those words came out, everyone started glancing back and forth between us. You're right. There is a resemblance. Justin's face immediately soured. Sophie caught it at once and jumped in to defend him. What are you guys, blind? Skinny Frank compared to Justin. Justin exhaled in relief, his smile slowly coming back. I just lowered my head, pretending I hadn't heard anything. Then my phone rang, breaking the tension. I glanced at the screen. Sorry, I need to take this, I said quietly, stepping out of the room. Hello, Frank, when are you planning on coming in for the checkup? You trying to die or what? The voice on the other end was firm, irritated. It was Howard. I've never seen a patient like you treating cancer like it's the common cold. Sorry, Howard. I'm not planning to come, I said softly. Why? You just want to give up? Pretty much, Frank, he sighed. Thyroid cancer progresses slowly. With proper checkups and treatment, there's a 90% chance of curing it. But what about the other 10? Why do you always think you're in that 10? Because my mom was. There was silence on the line. Cancer ran deep in my family. And when I found out I had the same illness as her, I had already made up my mind. No treatment. No fighting it. I had no money. No family. Maybe dying would just be easier. But Howard wasn't giving up. Then get here promptly. Do the checkup. Stop delaying. Thanks, Doc. I hung up, and that's when I sensed someone behind me. Sophie, she had come out without a sound and was now standing right there. Who were you talking to? She asked. A friend. Your friend's a doctor? Are you sick? Just a little. Cold. I hoped she hadn't heard too much. Thankfully, she didn't seem suspicious. She scoffed lightly. You just need medicine for a cold. No need to call a doctor. I didn't know what to say. Luckily, she didn't dig further. She just turned and went back inside to hang out with Justin. The day I decided not to seek treatment, I knew there was one thing I had to do first: make amends with Sophie. That look she gave me in the supermarket 6 years ago still haunted me. It was a ghost in every dream. So I reached out to her, apologized, offered to work for her. I didn't mention my illness. She casually replied, anything I ask? Yes. Then take off your clothes. I hesitated 3 seconds, then started unbuttoning. Her expression changed instantly. She grabbed my chin, angry. You're really undressing? Her grip hurt, but I didn't stop. From that night on, Sophie showed me her anger, biting, licking, inventing new ways to punish me and me. I endured it all. Storm or shine, I came when she called, letting her vent whatever she needed to. That night, I didn't go back to the dining room. Just headed straight back to school. Figured that was it. Sophie wouldn't call me again tonight, but to my surprise, Justin didn't stay over either. When he came back, he was holding one of the gifts Sophie had given him, a chocolate cake. Big, expensive, nothing like the one I once stole. Sophie said to share a piece with you. Justin said, do you want some? I shook my head. I don't like chocolate cake. That's what I told her too, he said, amused. Justin then fiddled with the new Patek Philippe watch Sophie had gifted him, clearly smitten. Oh, by the way, she asked me to give you this. It was my backpack. I must have left it in Sophie's car. As soon as I took the bag, I could tell something felt different. I unzipped it. Inside were several boxes of cold medicine. I was still processing that when Justin added, Frank, I've actually heard about you and her. I don't mind. A woman like her can't have no past, but your history now. So mind your boundaries in the future. I nodded quietly, agreed to it, but Justin didn't understand the boundaries between Sophie and me weren't mine to set. It was always Sophie's decision. The next day, it was pouring. I left home without an umbrella. That's when a familiar red Ferrari pulled up beside me. The window rolled down. Sophie, she looked gloomy. Didn't you see my message? I saw it. She had texted me 3 hours ago asking to meet that night. Then why didn't you reply? I just didn't feel right about it. The car door flung open and she pulled me in. Frank, you've got guts now, making me come to grab you. Tonight's place was a hotel, of course. Sophie loved switching settings, from her car to 5-star hotels to random rooftops. We'd been everywhere. This time, it was a top-floor suite with floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, the storm raged, rain pounding against the glass. Inside, Sophie grabbed my chin and kissed me fiercely. Same as always, but this time, I wasn't really into it. Sophie, calm down. Think about Justin. Justin, she paused for a second, blinking. Oh right, I remember now. Is that why you didn't reply? If you're gonna go after him, treat him with respect. You're defending him? Her voice tightened. He hasn't got much good to say about you. That's not my problem, I said. I just want a clear conscience. Clear conscience? Sophie laughed, dripping in sarcasm. Cold, I knew I had no right to even speak those words. She shoved me onto the bed. Frank, I'm not so desperate as to jump into bed with someone after just one meeting. Oh really? But the first day we reunited, we went at it for 2 hours straight. I didn't say that out loud, but she saw it in my eyes. Annoyed, she bit my shoulder. Focus, she started kissing down my neck. Slowly, lower, moving like she'd done it 1,000 times. Suddenly, a knock at the door. Urgent. Tense. Sophie groaned in frustration. Get lost. Boss, it's urgent. We found a hospital report. I said get lost. It's a cancer report. That stopped her cold. The assistant continued, saying it had fallen out of my bag. Sophie stormed to the door, snatched it from him. Her hand trembled as she read it. It's not mine, I said calmly. The top left corner was torn right, where the name should be. If it's not yours, how did it end up in your bag? She asked, eyes narrowing. Maybe the hospital made a mistake, I replied. I rummaged through my things and pulled out the missing piece. Matched it to the report. It fit perfectly. See? The patient's name isn't mine, Sophie finally exhaled, relieved. She tossed the paper into the trash, but she didn't know if she just looked a little deeper in my bag, she'd have found another report with my name on it, worse than the one she just threw away. That day, the hospital had a printing glitch. The previous patient's report got printed with mine. I just tossed both into my bag without thinking. See? I knew you couldn't be that sick, Sophie said, returning to her cool self. Frank, you've got a debt to settle with me. Think you can die on me? Not a chance. What if I really am sick? I asked. Impossible. I mean, what? If Sophie gripped my jaw, face twisting with malice, then you're faking it, she snapped. I wouldn't believe a word. Not surprising. Not from Sophie. She hated me. Maybe she'd be glad if I was gone. The next few days, she didn't contact me. Justin, though, he was out and about all the time. Every time he came back, there was a new luxury watch on his wrist. No need to guess who gave it to him, but I didn't feel much. I guess when you're waiting to die, you just go numb. I didn't see Sophie again for half a month. Then, a high school classmate came to town for business and arranged a dinner Sophie hosted. She invited a bunch of people. Justin came as her date. And me. I was only invited because I knew one of the girls. Kathy, Sophie's high school deskmate. When we met, she came right over. Frank, long time no see. Yeah, it sure has been a while. I heard you're doing self-media stuff now. That's awesome. Well, compared to Sophie, I'm nowhere near. Back then, she was the most promising in our class. I smiled, stayed quiet while we chatted. Sophie and Justin arrived. Kathy teased, Sophie, is this your boyfriend? So handsome. Everyone gathered around. They seemed to be praising Justin's good looks, but really, they were complimenting Sophie's taste. Justin looked like he was on cloud nine with all the gushing, and I just quietly stayed in my corner. After a few drinks, everyone got a bit tipsy. Someone brought up school days, and the topic shifted to Sophie. I heard Sophie never dated in school. Is that true? Someone asked. It's true, someone confirmed. Doesn't seem like it though. Sophie gave a lazy smile. So what do you think I should have been like? A player? Kathy chimed in with a playful laugh. I can vouch she really didn't date. Wow. Sophie used to be quite pure. Like really pure, Kathy added, her tone excited and tipsy. Although she didn't date, she did have a crush and even wrote him a love letter. I froze. My chopsticks slipped, dropping the food back onto my plate. Everyone suddenly became intrigued. Sophie writing a love letter? Justin turned to her, clearly seeking confirmation. She admitted it nonchalantly. Yeah, that happened. I buried my head even lower. With curiosity piqued, Kathy went on. I remember that night. Sophie didn't sleep at all. She wore out a dictionary. Had a pink envelope ready in advance. Yeah, she giggled. With a clumsy little heart, she even drew on it. Oh my gosh, someone gasped. What kind of guy gets Sophie to write a love letter? Must have been a real looker. Kathy shook her head. No idea. I never saw him either. I just remember Sophie saying she had a crush on him for 3 years. Unbelievable. Then Kathy paused as if recalling something and turned to me. Frank, you went to middle school with Sophie, didn't you? Do you know who it is? Everyone looked at me curious, expectant. Everyone, except Sophie. She just looked indifferent. But there was a silent warning in her eyes. I got the hint. I don't know either, I said, with alcohol flowing. People got bolder. Sophie, come on, tell us. Yeah, Sophie, share with us. They say first loves are unforgettable. Do you remember him? Amid the chatter, Sophie lit a cigarette and replied simply, already forgot. After dinner, there was more to come. Sophie had booked a private room at a club. Everyone gathered, playing games. I wasn't feeling great, but couldn't find a way to slip away. Sophie hates when people leave halfway through her events, especially me. She once said, I want you by my side, even if I die. If she was staying, so was I. So reluctantly, I joined the games. Luck wasn't on my side. I got picked quickly. The dare? I had to pick a girl and share a cookie with her. I looked around. Sophie was chatting with Justin, both laughing. So I skipped over her and glanced to my left. Kathy, you up for it? Sure. I'm single. How about you? She asked. I hesitated. I'm single too. Technically, my relationship with Sophie didn't count. The crowd egged us on, nearly shouting the roof down. Kiss! Kiss! Old classmates meeting up, bound to create sparks. Amid the ruckus, I picked up my end of the cookie and was about to take a bite when a sharp sound interrupted us. Sophie had smashed a glass on the floor. Oops. Slipped from my hand, she said, her face blank. I'll get a waiter to clean it up. No, now, she insisted. The game paused. Once everything was cleaned up, Sophie casually suggested starting a new round. The host was all ready to deal again until I raised my hand. Hang on, I said. I haven't finished my dare yet. Sophie's smile froze. Her eyes turned cold, and under everyone's gaze, I finished the cookie with Kathy. I backed off just before the last bit, letting her finish it. She blushed, but no one noticed. Sophie started chugging drink after drink. Her grip around her glass tightened, knuckles turning white. By the end of the ordeal, I was wiped out, slumping into a chair. The ache in my tooth had spread to my head. No wonder they say a toothache can be hell. I couldn't hang on anymore. While Sophie was on a call, I hurriedly walked over. Sophie, once she hung up, I said, I think I'm gonna head home. Something up. Her voice was icier than usual. I'm not feeling too great. Where does it hurt? Toothache. Got a headache too. She chuckled bitterly. Frank, do I look like an idiot to you? You seemed super into your turn during the game. It's like you didn't want people to miss it. You think you can just skip out without paying your dues to me? And you're already trying to find a girlfriend? Did I say you could? She looked at me with something dark in her eyes. Her smile turned colder. If you leave, does that mean Kathy's leaving too? No, I tried to explain. I've just not felt well all night. It's getting worse. I just need to rest. Sophie marched over, grabbed my chin with one hand, and forced open my mouth with the other, sticking her fingers in. I stared at her in shock, shaking my head, trying to signal her to stop. The private room was right there. Our friends could walk out at any time and see this. It'd be impossible to explain, but Sophie ignored my warning. Her fingers rough, not those of a pampered princess, prodded around clumsily in my mouth. No. Swelling. You're faking it, she said, pulling her fingers out. A slick thread of saliva trailed behind. I covered my mouth, coughing. Stay inside until I'm done for the night. Then you can go. I really am hurting, then hurt. Till you drop dead, for all I care. Sophie stormed back toward the room. But those words snapped something inside me. As she turned, I collapsed to the floor. Sophie's mind went blank. She stumbled around, thoughts in a frenzy. She nearly forgot she'd been drinking. It was the driver who stepped in and prevented disaster. When handing me over to the doctors, she realized her arms were shaking. Right. What nonsense had she just spat out? Oh yeah, then hurt till you drop dead. Sophie's eyes reddened. Her nails dug deep into her palm. If anything really happened to Frank, she couldn't bear the thought. In these 6 years, she'd struggled with hatred for him, so much that she dreamt of him every night. Enough to call his name when she was alone, seeking solace, and sometimes on the street, when she glimpsed someone with a similar build, she'd lose all sense briefly. Sophie remembered once dozing off in the car. The driver had said, "Boss, you were mumbling someone's name." What? She'd asked. A dude's name. Must be someone you care about, saying it even in your sleep. The driver was new then, unaware of her temper, cracking jokes. That day, Sophie had thrown a tantrum, almost like she had to prove something. It wasn't love. It was hate. So why was she like this now? Shouldn't she feel relieved? Then why did her heart clench so painfully, like she might throw up? The doctor came out. Sophie caught his nametag. His name was Howard, and he seemed to know Frank. When I brought Frank in just now, the driver said, "This guy," Howard said. "Is it Frank? Then let me handle it." Sophie stepped up. "How is he?" "He passed out because he hasn't been resting well," Howard said. "He probably has long-standing sleep issues, and his mouth. He's got a wisdom tooth, just needs to have it pulled." Sophie let out a breath. Relief washed over her. He would be okay. He had to be okay. That was the only way her love and hate could have a vessel. "Who are you?" Howard asked. "Girlfriend," Sophie answered. "He has a girlfriend?" Never heard him mention that. Howard looked surprised, murmuring, "Shouldn't be. If he had someone, why give up on treatment?" "What did you say?" "Oh," Howard said, "since you're Frank's girlfriend, push him to come to the hospital for further treatment." Sophie was dazed. "Treatment? You didn't know?" Howard looked at her more closely. "Frank's cancer can't be delayed anymore." Sophie's mind went blank. She thought she misheard. "Sorry, I didn't understand you. Not told, huh? Guess he really plans to give up." Howard's voice was sympathetic. While he's still not awake, come with me. He led Sophie into his office and showed her a bunch of ultrasound images. See, this is Frank's ultrasound report. Here, suspected malignant tumor. Howard kept his voice gentle. For the past 6 months, I've been urging him to come in for surgery, but he said he's decided to forego treatment. You know about Frank's mom, right? She died from the same disease. After she passed, Frank was left with no family, no savings. Always in mourning. That's why he wanted to end it all. Sophie listened, feeling like she might collapse. She'd heard about Frank's mother's death after dropping out of school. To protect him, only a few teachers knew about his family situation, so she never heard a word. Frank had no family left. Sophie felt bitter, even regretted leaving home back then. So, doctor, what's his current condition? She pressed. Unclear. Surgeries needed to find out. As the conversation wrapped up, Howard added, 6 years ago, I was just an intern, shadowing a mentor. We handled Frank's mom back then. Later, I got transferred to City B. Never thought I'd run into Frank again. Talk to him. Don't let him give up. Because of a chocolate cake. A chocolate cake? I asked. That was his mother's last wish. Howard sighed. Her final wish was a supermarket chocolate cake, but they were truly out of money. They couldn't even cover the hospital bills. Howard didn't notice the sudden paleness on Sophie's face when he said that last sentence. That little cake had become a knot in the young man's heart. When I woke up, the ultrasound report was clenched tightly in Sophie's hand. I knew then I couldn't hide it anymore. Sophie's eyes were red, but this time, it was different. Not the kind of red when emotions are just overflowing. She had genuinely cried. Frank, she asked, in a hoarse voice, can I ask you something? Sure, ask. Did your mom ever get that chocolate cake in the end? I looked at her. No, Sophie went quiet. It was like she needed something to stop herself from breaking down. She started peeling an apple, but her hands were too shaky. She nearly cut her finger. Why didn't you ever tell me? That chocolate cake. It's important to you. Telling you, would it make you forgive me? It would. Then there's even less reason to tell you. I smiled faintly and explained, I've got tons of reasons, but none justify hurting you. And none of them are reasons for you to forgive me, because your life is equally important. Just then, the fruit knife slipped. She finally did cut her hand. Beads of blood rolled down onto the white bedsheets, glaringly red, but Sophie didn't even react. She seemed numb to the pain. Frank, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so harsh with you. Shouldn't have doubted you. Shouldn't have tried to tick you off with Justin. Don't apologize to me, I said gently. I'm the one who should apologize to you first. No, it's my fault. Justin and I, we never had anything. I only went to test you, but now I regret it. I was such an idiot. I should have realized sooner. She hung her head, her shoulders shaking. Her voice was stifled with sobs. It was the first time I'd ever seen Sophie like this, so humble, so regretful. I chuckled softly. Don't be like that. It's not like you, Frank. I'll be with you. For the treatment. I froze. Treatment? She finally met my eyes. Yes, Howard said. There's hope to cure it. I'll be with you always. Don't worry about the medical bills either. Honestly, I had a resistance to treatment. The memory of how much pain my mom endured was still vivid. She went through so much suffering, yet still left with pain, but Sophie was determined. I knew that nothing I said would change, so I forced a smile and replied warmly, all right. Sophie stayed by the bedside until the next afternoon, when she got a call from work. A meeting needed her personal attendance. I guess because I had promised her so cooperatively, she didn't think much of it or leave anyone to watch over me. She had just left. When I slipped away, I went back to the dorm first. Justin was there too. Turns out, neither Sophie nor I had returned after the party last night. I hesitated, debating whether I should explain anything. But Justin spoke first. Frank, Sophie's love letters back then, they were for you, right? I was taken aback. How do you know? Justin was casually shining his new watch. I've seen enough women to spot such things. It'd be a waste if I couldn't. Then why'd you agree to see her? For fun, he replied, indifferent. At first, I just wanted to see if I could steal her away. You two weren't a thing, so what if I succeeded? Later, I realized her heart was all for you, so I gave up. But hey, she'd get me watches just for playing along, so it wasn't a loss for me. Justin never hides his love for money, but he also never wastes time on women who don't like him. Oh, by the way, help me thank Sophie. Thanks to her, I've found my next target. Who? He pointed to a business card on the table. The name looked familiar. It's that new entrepreneur from last night's party. Financially, he's on par with Sophie. Justin, thanks for telling me, but you should thank Sophie in person. What's the deal? You two have a fight? Instead of answering, I asked, can you not tell her you saw me today? Justin looked at me seriously for a moment. Sure, but I'm curious about something. Go ahead, Frank. How could you introduce someone you like to me? After I finished packing up my stuff in the dorm, I rushed to the train station. I bought the next high-speed train ticket home. I turned off my phone so Sophie couldn't find me all the way. Justin's words echoed in my head. Sophie is someone I like. Really? Do I like her? Have I been with her for 6 months just to make up for some debt I owe? A hidden feeling, one I never dared to face, had just been seen through by Justin. 3 hours later, I got home. The southern town was as humid as ever. I walked down those familiar streets, eating all the foods I used to love. It felt like I was saying goodbye to the world. My high school alma mater had been remodeled. It looked impressive now. I walked the familiar path from the school gate back home. Halfway, someone suddenly called out, "Frank, is it really you? Mrs. Wilton. Long time no see." Mrs. Wilton used to live next door to us. She was an electrician for the city's construction office. I asked, "Are the streetlights getting an upgrade?" "Yep. The last time was 7 years ago." I remembered that. Back in my first year of high school, the lights on this road were pretty dim. One day after school, they were suddenly bright, lighting up the way home. Speaking of which, she said, back then the bulb replacement was pushed by a girl from your school. What? That girl came to our office, insisting we change the bulbs on this street. She came back for several weeks. I remember that. Another worker chimed in. The boss got so frustrated, he finally agreed. Finding it amusing, I laughed. Didn't know you could do that. Yeah, when replacing the bulbs, Sophie was enthusiastically helping. My smile froze. Wait, who? Sophie? From your school? The one who dropped out later, right? Did you all know? Another worker started gossiping. That girl changed the bulbs because a boy she liked lived on this street. Wow, really? Which boy? I know almost every kid on this road. How would I know? They left, chatting away, piecing together a past I never knew. I stepped forward and asked Mrs. Wilton, "Can I have one of those old bulbs?" "Sure, but what for? My aunt's old house doesn't have anyone living there. It's not worth buying new bulbs. I think these might still work." "Sure, take one." After my mom passed, I stayed at my aunt's. Her family had moved to the big city years ago, leaving the house empty. I only stayed there when visiting my mom's grave. My aunt's house is empty. In fact, with the development over the years, there are hardly any residents left on this street. Once bustling, it now felt deserted. I grabbed a stool, planning to replace the bulb. Then I noticed some writing on the base. Years of weathering had blurred the words, which is probably why Mrs. Wilton hadn't noticed. There were 3 letters, Frank. My heart skipped a beat. I knew that handwriting all too well. Sophie still writes like that. The bulb still worked, though it wasn't as bright as it once was. I just stared at it. It was like looking at my 16-year-old self back then, in those times that almost crushed me. Someone loved me more than she loved herself. I stayed at my aunt's for 2 days. Every night, I dreamed of my mom. Her smile was as gentle as ever. I tried to hold her. I wanted to tell her so much about my growth, my grievances, but in the end, what I managed to whisper was, "Mom, I want to live." I almost woke myself up. I came back intending to say goodbye. But now, because of Sophie, I'm thinking of wanting to live? How did that happen? Before I could figure it out, my body was already in motion. I grabbed my bag and ran out, back to City B, to find Sophie. I wanted to tell her that at 16, I liked you too. The wind whistled in my ears. My muscles ached from running, but I didn't feel tired at all. Passing by the high school gate, I suddenly saw a familiar red Ferrari. Sophie stopped sharply. "Frank, where are you trying to run off to now?" She ran toward me. Her silhouette overlapped with that of our youth. This time, I didn't turn away. "I'm not going anywhere, Sophie. I was just about to find you. This time, I'm the one running toward you." Epilogue. Sophie found Frank quickly, thanks to their old classmates. After hearing Frank had left the hospital, she was the first to ask Justin. At first, Justin didn't admit he'd seen him, but once he found out Frank was sick, he came clean. Still, Justin didn't know where Frank went after that. Kathy joined in the search too, muttering the whole time, "If you had just said he was the one you liked from the beginning, why did I even share my cookies with him?" Sophie kept quiet. "Oh, I see why you broke the cup. You didn't want us eating the cookies," Kathy added. "Well, can't deny they tasted good," she shrugged. "Still had that childhood flavor." Sophie snapped, "Can we stop talking about those damn cookies?" They asked around, checking with old classmates, promising they'd let them know the moment anyone got in contact with her. And by the next night, they had something. "My mom saw Frank yesterday," said a chubby girl from the class next door. Back then, her mom used to be an electrician in their hometown. She hadn't gotten into college, followed her mom's path, and stayed as an electrician. Sophie drove through the night on the highway without a wink of sleep. By morning, she finally made it to that small southern town. Thankfully, Frank wasn't trying to run anymore. He said he wasn't planning to go anywhere. He just wanted to catch a train back to City B. To find her, Sophie couldn't even remember what she said in response. All she remembered was a long kiss. Frank had returned her feelings. That tiny change erased all of Sophie's fatigue and filled her with a surge of excitement. Back in City B, Frank immediately began preparing for surgery. He was nervous, so nervous he couldn't sleep the night before. Sophie stayed by his side the whole time. Frank asked, "What if I die?" "I'll find a master to perform a ceremony for you." "To send me off?" "No," Sophie replied. "To turn you into a ghost and keep you with me until I die." That was so Sophie. Only she would come up with something like that. Frank turned over and snuggled into her. "Just in case something goes wrong tomorrow, there's something I want to tell you." "What is it?" "I used to like you too. Ever since you walked me home that day." Sophie was stunned for a moment, then held him even tighter. "Then let me tell you something too," she whispered. "I've always liked you." Never stopped. Later, Sophie would think about everything for a long time. Why did she admit to a crime she didn't commit? Even when her father beat her, leaving her covered in blood, she still held onto her innocence. Probably because, deep down, there was always a voice telling her Frank must have had his reasons. She didn't hate him for slandering her. She only hated herself for not confessing sooner. If she had, maybe she could have officially bought that little cake for him. Of course, there was something else Sophie had never told anyone. If Frank had really died, besides that ceremony, she had a plan B. She'd die with him. It wasn't about creating a romantic tragedy, and she didn't think she was being overly dramatic. It was just love. Pure love. Love strong enough to die for, just to prove her unshakable commitment. She was a little crazy at heart. Maybe that's how she managed to rise to this position in just 6 years. The next day, Frank went into surgery. The pathology results came quickly. Howard's eyes were lit up. "Sophie, something amazing. Frank's nodule might just be a nodule." "What?" Sophie was stunned. "The intraoperative frozen section shows it's not malignant." Howard was thrilled. Even though all the earlier tests pointed to cancer, pathology is the most accurate result. It wasn't the first time this had happened. Sometimes a lesion suspected to be cancer turned out to be benign. Sophie felt her heart leap. "You're saying he doesn't have cancer?" "Intraoperative frozen section has up to 90% accuracy. We'll still need to do a full pathology to confirm." A few days later, the full pathology came back. All clear. The panic was gone. The weight finally lifted. Just a few more days, and Frank was discharged from the hospital. "You have a family history, so you should follow up regularly," Howard advised. Sophie was quick to respond. "Yes, doctor. I'll make sure to bring him." Howard smiled. "Congrats, Frank, on starting a new life." Frank broke down. He cried tears of joy. When he thought the whole world had turned its back on him, he realized someone still cared. And it wasn't just one person. Outside the hospital, Justin showed up with his new girlfriend. They'd brought gifts and came to pick Frank up. They all gathered at Sophie's place to hang out, lifting his spirits after the long hospital stay. It wasn't until late at night that everyone finally left. Frank was tired but genuinely happy. Sophie cleaned up the mess, then curled up beside him, holding him close. "Sophie, I'll have a scar on my neck." "So what?" she said. "You mind?" Sophie laughed. "I've seen you at your worst. Why worry about this?" Frank laughed too. Those demons that had haunted him for so long, he could finally joke about them, finally face them. Sophie kissed his palm gently, and then she told him, with deep sincerity, "Frank, I love you. From the first moment I met you when I was 14, I've loved you." That hungry, 14-year-old girl, lost and wandering the streets, It was Frank who had bought her a piece of bread. Later, he changed so much, grew tall, his features matured, she didn't recognize him anymore. But it didn't matter as long as she remembered, and she always would, from this point forward. Life would be a long journey, and Sophie, she would replace the whole world and love him with all her heart.